put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. It is 7 a.m. It is 7 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates morning show. It's Friday, the 16th of September, 2022. And this is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Maria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Those of you in the Caribbean and viewing us on the live, good morning, good morning. Julian Skeet, good morning. How are you today? It is Friday.
It is Friday. It is a beautiful day indeed. A beautiful day.
It's an interesting day.
It's an interesting day because there has been much happening, very much happening in the space. But Ria, even before we get into that, I want to take the opportunity to congratulate our very own Tobago, a young lady having gone out there to really represent us, Janae Brathwaite. And she would have gone out there as the one who won the competition here in Tobago, coming out of Signal Hill Secondary, and being able to comfortably, I should say, take it home within the Caribbean region. So
that's
kudos
right.
And congratulations,
Congratulations
to our very
Janae.
own Janae Brathwaite. And we look forward to more details in terms of highlighting this accomplishment.
All right, well, congratulations to you indeed. But you know, it's quite an interesting time to be alive within Tobago, and Julian, today is an interesting day.
Yes, put simply, the Deputy Chief Secretary has resigned. It's no more. He has resigned, and one waits to see what's next, because I am convinced, Ria, this is not just about a resignation.
No, it's not. I don't feel that it is. And you're saying what's next. I want to know, what does it really mean? All right, because I mean, persons were saying, of course, we knew that we needed to move forward, but how? What would have been the next step? I'm not sure how many of us saw this coming. I don't know.
Very interesting at that. But for now, folks, we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Ria and Julian. I am Candice Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Friday, 16 September 2022. Assemblyman for Roxborough Argyle, Watson Duke, called on Chief Secretary Farley Augustine to answer questions about the awarding of million-dollar contracts over the past 9 months. Duke made these accusations during a press conference where he announced to the nation that he resigned as Deputy Chief Secretary of the THA. According to Duke, Augustine acted as a dictator on the Executive Council who failed to deliver on campaign promises. However, Duke stated that he would not challenge Augustine in the Assembly legislature and described him as a child, but will instead pursue his political ambitions in Trinidad through the PDP party which he established. Meanwhile, the Tobago branch of the TNT Chamber of Industry and Commerce expressed concerns about the split between Chief Secretary Farley Augustine and former Deputy Chief Secretary Watson Duke. In a statement, Chairman Diane Haddad described the situation as bad for Tobago's economic development. She said that in the past 9 months, the PDP administration did not deliver on their election promises, with little or no changes to the island's economy. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Tobago Business Chamber, Martin George, said there appears to be no hope for the Augustine and Duke amending their relationship after leaving the THA with a leadership crisis that undermines Tobago's development. And nationally, certificates of character from the police service are not available at this time. According to a release from the police, a system malfunction is preventing applicants from being facilitated. The police said the system experienced technical difficulties over the past several months, causing delays. They, however, assured the public that work is ongoing to repair the system as soon as possible. But when it is restored, the police warned applicants of backlogs in the issuance of certificates of character, causing further delays until it is cleared. And that was your news in 90 seconds. It is back to you, Julian and Ria.
Thank you so much there, Candace.
Thank you, Candace.
All right, now just before, I know we're getting ready to head into birthdays, but just before we jump into birthdays, I want to take the opportunity this morning to extend condolences to the family of Dion Mapp, who passed away just about a little over a week ago here in Tobago. He was a police officer attached to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and I want to take the opportunity this morning to extend condolences to his wife, Avi, his two boys, his mother and his family, Auntie Shuma, Uncle Tim, his siblings, Chanel and Shannon, and the entire Open Bible family. Dion's passing, and we knew him as Kerwin as well, but his passing has left a huge hole in our hearts. Yet we rejoice because we know that he has gone on to a better place, and it's something that I don't say lightly, because it's not, when we say gone to a better place. However, we extend condolences and we pray God's peace upon the family even at this time. So his funeral service is going to take place today, 1 o'clock, at the Mount Grace Open Bible Standard Church. So just some information there for the public. Condolences indeed going out to the entire family. It's definitely a challenging time, no doubt, under the circumstances, and it is those kinds of odd circumstances, and I know I'm putting myself in trouble here, that Ria and I bounced up yesterday evening, and we'd leave it there for now. There's no need for Ria to go into any additional details, but we really want to send out condolences to the entire family out there, and indeed, a continued reminder to us that today you're here, tomorrow you're gone. Let's really cherish those that we have here with us continually. All right, folks, and at this point, we're heading straight on into our birthday celebrations this morning. All right, we get started this morning. Some call him Star Boy, not so Ria. We have on with us Jason Lashley. All right, so we're sending birthday shout outs to Jason Lashley this morning. Happy birthday, Jason Lashley. All right, and we've got Junior Valdez celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday going out to you, Junior Valdez. Birthday greetings going out to Kevin Davidson out there this morning. Birthday shout out. We trust that you have an enjoyable celebration, Kevin. I know that you'll be well taken care of. Oh, and my very good friend. We worked together many years ago at a different time, a different space. But happy birthday going out to you, Waisman Chitterman. Waisman Chitterman, happy birthday. And this is Melina Decoto Barrow, and this is coming from your husband Johan and parents Victoria and Lionel. Happy birthday going out to you this morning, dear Melina Decoto. All right, and we have on screen here with us Carol Nori. So this is wishing Carol Nori a happy birthday. Birthday shout outs going out to Carol Nori this morning. Giselle Webster, birthday greetings going out to you. Lots of love from the Tobago Updates family. And my very good friend here, my classmate and friend who's living out there in Brooklyn, New York, Randolph Chapman, celebrating his birthday today. So Chappie, as we call him, lots of love going out to you from the entire 5B class of 89 Signal Hill Secondary School crew. Love going out to you. And my sister and friend, this is Natoya King, celebrating her birthday. Natoya, happy birthday, and this is coming to you from my family and the Roxborough Open Bible Standard Church family. Love going out to you. And this is the man himself, Duvon Stewart. And sending birthday shout outs. Duvon will be celebrating over the course of the weekend. We want to wish you a happy birthday, Duvon Stewart. Looking good, Duvon. Our very own Pearl Henry. Tobago's very own. Pearl Henry, it's your day, so we want to wish you a happy birthday, Pearl Henry. And we're sending birthday shout outs to Alan Williams. Alan Williams making us proud out there indeed in the skies. We want to wish you a happy birthday, Alan Williams.
All right. And this morning, you see, I'm heading in because I also have a birthday greeting. And this one is coming from Mrs. Carol Fraser Davidson. And she is sending out birthday greetings to Ferris Davidson that will be celebrating over the weekend. She says, yes, we're going to be having a celebration, Julian. And I want to take the opportunity. So she's wishing Ferris Davidson a very, very happy birthday going out to you. All
and
right.
I see here, Julian, that Maurice Goddard is also celebrating a birthday. So happy birthday going out to you, Maurice.
All right, so we're sending birthday greetings out to Maurice Goddard as well. And this morning, I can't forget on board at all, sponsor. And this morning, my outfit and wardrobe is courtesy Rashad's, and that's Rashad's Men's Store, located at Mount Pleasant Main Road. Phone 631-1049. That's 631-1049. And that's Rashad's located, and that's Rashad's Men's Store, located at Mount Pleasant. Check them out. Good stuff, good stuff. A variety of options there, catering to our men and so on. So therefore, check them out. Shirts, pants, you name it. Shoes, you get what you're going for at Rashad's Men's Store.
If you want your guy to have that particular look. That's right.
Bringing about a difference there. So again, thank you so much to our sponsor on board today, Rashad's Men's Store, 631-1049. All right. Ria, who do we have on this morning? Because we got some major issues to discuss.
We do indeed. And, you know, this morning we really are bringing out the big guns. We're rolling with the big boys this morning. So kicking us off this morning, we will be chatting with Martin George, attorney at law, on the Duke resigns as Deputy Chief Sec. That issue, as well as what should happen next. What does it mean and what should happen next?
All right. And we will also be chatting this morning with Dr. Reginald Dumas, and former ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, and also former head of the public service here in Trinidad and Tobago. So we're certainly getting and delving in even further to the issue at hand following the resignation yesterday of the Deputy Chief Secretary. All right, folks, so at this point we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support. And those of you viewing us via Gael, those on M&E TV, those joining us and listening to us via Smash Radio and Street 91.9 FM. And those of you joining us on social media, we're heading on into that interview with Martin George. But just before we head there, we want to remind you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
I just want the microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning. Good morning.
We are Roman one. We need for good pet. We are plenty bacchanal. Hate to see people stressing. Them kind of thing that get them mad. When they see I lose it, it's for the love of carnival. I love how you're moving your ways.
Entertainment. Yes, we're bringing it to you. Tobago Updates. It's all about the new entertainment show, the VIP Experience, hosted by your boy Snoopy. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 p.m. and on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. We're bringing to you the best Tobago has to offer. We're showcasing interviews, music, and everything that is fun. So join me on Tobago Updates for the VIP Experience. Yeah, man.
Watch how you're backing back on me. Like about to overload. Watch them sexy big old woman. Beauty from head to toes in the sun. You two don't need no lotion.
Life, the concert.
Says our destiny.
Friday, 23rd September.
The night before Republic Day.
She says our destiny. She get next to me.
At the concert capital, the Queen's Park, Savannah.
Life, the concert. Mavado and his full band.
Mamailakai Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now, 333-4430 at Mamailakai Home Services. We take cleaning to another level.
People that know going on. You're for young brother. 17th of September. It's all about Dengole in Tobago. Yes, people. Shorty's residence comes alive. Young brother will be performing live and live. All my ladies, make sure and be there because I had to make you feel it.
Dingole, dingole. lay with me now. Come the way.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
To fight for people. All you media people have seen me. You have seen me take on the police, take on Patrick Manning, take on Kamala, take on Rowley. You have seen me in ripping form. And I know you miss me wearing the green. But I still wear the black. The Progressive Democratic Patriots, we are Spartans. What Father Augustine is leading is a jellyfish pack. Without spine, without backbone, that's what he's leading inside it. Nobody will stand up to him and say, you are going down the wrong road. Pull yourself together. They all share him. He leads a jellyfish gang. We will always fight for people. And so today, in an effort to continue that fight, to put people before politics, I have decided to resign immediate effect from the Tobago House of Assembly. I wish not to be part of Farley and his gang. I will not be part of an executive run by a child and his friends who doesn't understand what it is to serve and servitude. You want to be big? Then form your own company. Run your own thing. I will continue to be an assemblyman representing Roxborough, Argyle, and I will not sit with them. I will sit on the opposite side, but I will not sit with the PNM either. It will be Watson Duke, the PDP, representing the people. It will be Farley and friends on one side, and the PNM on the other side. I must tell you, my intelligence have reported to me that Farley and friends have already formed a party with their own symbol. And it's just a matter of time for it to be registered. I can say to him now, instead of looking to fight, you may want to register your party. Because when Watson Duke moves away, he carries the PDP with him. So it's not the PDP THA executive on one side, PNM on one side, and Watson Duke on the next side. Wherever I am is the PDP. The PDP is owned by Watson Solomon Duke. There's no two owners. There was no group. When I started, it was my brother, myself, and a dog. That's how we started, under the streetlights. When the party registered, there was no Farley, there was no Faith, there was nobody. It was just Watson and the people. And now that we have struggled, now that we have 1, 2, take 6, take 14, now the thing looking good. They want to push Watson aside, forgetting the history. The PNM will not do it. They remember Eric Williams and forever he's great. The UNC will not do it. But the PDP, led by imposters, they will do it. Because they are not true Spartans. They are jellyfish. Spineless. They have forgotten their mission. Mindless. And they are now looking to be an elite group. Very nauseating to see them. They kept a big carnival gala event, fireworks, etc. Approximately 2 million free event. It was good, it's nice. But juxtaposition that against 27 people in New York wanting to eat. That's all. Juxtaposition that over parents who can afford to buy school books. Juxtaposition that over people who can't eat. But it's okay for them to move around and drink wine, expensive liquor in conch shell as they throw back their head. And when it's empty, they blow it. Pop, 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 pop. So you know that they are wrong. Very noisy and nauseating look. I cannot and I will not submit myself to that level of tyranny and bad rule. So Watson Duke, and I say Watson Duke / the PDP, is moving away, and we are allowing Farley the full reign over the THA executive. I'm not coming to your meeting, I have nothing to say, except I will be the watchdog for the people of Tobago.
Ah, yes. Taking it in there. Welcome back, viewers, to the Tobago Updates morning show. And the video they are capturing yesterday, the resignation of Deputy Chief Secretary or former Deputy Chief Secretary Watson Duke, and a gentle reminder that he remains an assemblyman representing Roxborough Argyle and a member of the Tobago House of Assembly, however, resigning from the executive position of Deputy Chief Secretary. On with us to have this discussion this morning in this segment is Dr. Reginald Dumas, former ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago and former head of the public service. I want to get what are your initial reactions, having seen the development over the last week.
Week? It's been going on for more than a week. I think, like most people, you know, one is confused, embarrassed, a little upset, very upset actually by all that has been going on. And all of this has to be sorted out. It's not good for anyone. It's not good, certainly not good for Tobago. And by extension, not good for Trinidad and Tobago either, because how do we look? So I've been looking at Mr. Duke's letter of resignation. He says, some of it is puzzling. I don't quite understand. I'm writing to formalize my resignation. I'm not sure what that means. Was there an informal resignation before?
Well, I suppose when he announced it.
No, I'm writing to formalize my resignation. What you say is, I hereby resign from the thing. But anyway, leave that with immediate effect. And to remind you that I gave you the authority to become Chief Secretary. I mean, you know, this becomes a little bit too personal. And I gave you the authority and I did this for you, etc. As you're aware, democracy and transparency have always been part of my political philosophy. Well, there are those who might want to question that. And then he goes on, I've lost all confidence in you. Now, when you say that and when you follow it with the kinds of first remarks that we've just heard, you wonder whether there is any possibility of any coming together again. He also said in his remarks that his intelligence was telling him that the Chief Secretary and others have formed a political party already and they're only waiting to register it. I don't know if this is true or not. We'll have to wait and see. But it is one of the possibilities that we have to face, the possibility of a new political party. The alternative is to continue with the same PDP and with two wings of the PDP, sort of looking at each other askance, attacking each other and so on, which makes for no sense at all. And certainly doesn't help either the party or Tobago.
Dr. Dumas, I want to be able, for the benefit of the people of Tobago, to make the distinction. At this point, the political leader of the PDP, Watson Duke, has indicated that, or reminded, that the party, the Progressive Democratic Patriots and its symbol, is owned by Watson Solomon Duke. And therefore, where Watson Solomon Duke goes, the PDP goes with him. At this time, we have a scenario where we have 14 members of the House in the House currently under having entered through the Progressive Democratic Patriots. In terms of going forward, is it that Watson Duke has to take the decision, or the party has to take the decision to remove those members? Otherwise, you continue with two groupings, as you're mentioning, of the PDP? And how does that work in the House?
Yes, you can certainly take the... I don't know what the Constitution of the PDP says. I've never read it. But I assume that there is some provision in the Constitution for the removal of members of this. You recall that a few days ago, Mr. Duke announced that he had removed, as political leader of the PDP, he had removed 3 persons as deputy political leaders. I assume that the Constitution of the party gives him the authority to do so. I don't know where if these three people are now ordinary members, they're no longer members of the executive. I don't know if the Constitution also gives him the authority, since he says that he owns the PDP, which one has to be very careful with language. If one person owns a party, I get worried. I would like to think that the people that belong to the party own the party, not one person, because that moves in the direction of a dictatorship that I personally would find impossible to accept, and I would oppose. So I don't know what he means by he owns the party. I really don't know what that means. Does Keith Rowley own the PNM? Does Kamala Prasad Bisesa own the UNC? I don't know. I would have thought not. So one has to be very careful with the language that one uses, because one sends the wrong message, or could send the wrong message. If the constitution of the party, as I assume, gives somebody the authority to remove people from the party, well, fine. But to whom does it give this authority? I don't know, because I have not read the Constitution, so I can't tell you.
So it's safe to say that until such time, the all, as in the 14 in the House, remain elected members, that is, remain members of the Progressive Democratic Patriots.
Yes, absolutely, because they have not been removed, as far as I know, as members of the PDP.
What do you see as the potential implication here, seeing that they all remain part of one party? But Mr. Duke has clearly indicated he is stepping aside from the executive, but will remain the watchdog, and he will sit on the other side.
He has resigned from the Deputy Chief Secretaryship, which raises another point, if I may say so, before I come to answer your question. According to the THA Act, the Chief Secretary and the Deputy Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly are elected by the assemblymen, that is, those who have been elected in the immediately preceding election. To whom exactly is Mr. Duke resigning? Because it wasn't the Chief Secretary who appointed him Deputy Chief Secretary. It was the Assembly that appointed him Deputy. The Assemblymen, more specifically, because the Assembly also includes councillors and the presiding officer. But it was the Assemblymen, those who have been elected. So to whom has he resigned? Is it now, the letter is addressed to the Chief Secretary, but it wasn't the Chief Secretary who appointed him. So this is a question of procedure. And again, I have to confess my ignorance. This has never happened before. I don't know what to say. Is it that the Chief Secretary will now present this letter of resignation to the Assembly and say, I have received this letter of resignation, and the Assembly is asked to accept or not to accept this letter of resignation? I don't know. So we find ourselves in murky waters here. I mean, the whole thing is not clear at all. Is it correct when Mr. Duke says that his intelligence tells him that Mr. Augustine and others have formed a political party and they're just ready to register it? Is this correct? I don't know. Do you all continue within the PDP, so you have two wings of the PDP, one supporting Mr. Duke and the other supporting Mr. Augustine, but Mr. Duke says that he owns the PDP. We have a lot of contradictions here. I don't know what's going on.
So my understanding, and this is something we could seek follow-up information on, is that this resignation now has to go at the next sitting of the Assembly. The resignation goes before the House in terms of for the House to accept the resignation.
I would assume so.
Right, and then the House continues for the appointment of a new Deputy Chief, the election, sorry, of a new Deputy Chief Secretary. But before we even get to that point, the question here for me would be, Watson Duke has indicated that he is planning to sit on the other side as the watchdog, but he will not sit with the PNM, but sit as a third entity. But my question to you is it possible to sit as a third entity within the assembly, as the watchdog, and not do the very same thing that the minority leader and the PNM is doing? Is that possible?
Well, I suppose it's possible. He can act as a third party.
But a third party to raise what issues?
A third force between
would
the
it be the same kinds of issues?
Between the Augustine PDP and the PNM. The thing is crazy. It is embarrassing now. It becomes absurd. The whole thing becomes absurd. You're not going to sit with the PNM because you're not members of the PNM, but you PDP. You say you own the PDP. If you own the PDP, then you also own Augustine because he's a member of the PDP. So how are you sitting separately from the person that you own and the group that you own? And you're going to keep an eye, okay, so you're acting as an independent force, although you're a PDP. There are too many contradictions in all of this.
So it would almost appear as though the next logical step would be removing them from the party.
It would appear so. Either they are removed from the party, from the PDP, that Mr. Duke says he owns, which, as I said, to me is a very worrying word with regard to politicians. When a politician says that he owns the party, or the Augustine group forms its own party. Now, in the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, there's reference to the question of crossing of the floor. That if you're elected on one party ticket and you either, during the session of Parliament, resign from the party or are expelled from the party, then you must vacate your seat. But we do not have that in the THA Act. This is a new situation altogether. The irony of the thing is that this question of having the Chief Secretary and the Deputy Chief Secretary elected by the Assembly was deliberately put in by the late Mr. A.N.R. Robinson because he was saying that there had been too much confrontation, political confrontation in Trinidad and Tobago. People were always pointing fingers at one another. And in fact, we are continuing to point fingers at one another, as you see, not only in Tobago, but just look at Trinidad. And that to the extent possible, the Assembly should try to operate together. Yes, you're going to have political differences, you're going to have people on one side and on the other side, but that you should, to the extent possible, act in the best interest of Tobago. Now we have a situation in which that appears to be collapsing. I hope it does not collapse. I know there are those who talk, my friend Vanessa James, for instance, I saw on TV the other night saying that he felt that there could still be some kind of rapprochement and a meeting of minds and compromise and so on, etc. I saw the chairman of the PDP, a gentleman called Ned, I believe it was.
Correct.
Saying that they were going to try to work things out. But how on the one hand are you going to try to work things out? And how are you going to try to arrive at a compromise and a meeting of minds when simultaneously and on the other side, you have Mr. Duke saying, I have lost confidence in you. You are a child trying to masquerade as a man, etc., etc. The rest of the people in the Assembly are jellyfish without backbones and so on and so on. All of these insults do not conduce to a meeting of minds.
Further to that, we had the political leader raising some concerns specific to the Chief Secretary and the Executive Council in relation to contracts that would have been granted and awarded and so on, and a number of other issues being raised. What does that therefore mean now that the former Deputy Chief Secretary is no longer with the executive but now raising these concerns of which he might have been a part at the time when these decisions
Precisely.
are made? What are those kinds of implications, especially from the standpoint of, in terms of these matters being pursued?
Precisely. I mean, he was part of the Executive Council. He was the Deputy Chief Secretary. I don't know what these contracts are and so on, etc. I mean, there's this issue of contracts which has been bedeviling the THA for many, many years now. And as you know, the Auditor General has written a number of reports on on this issue over the years, reports which I have and which I have written about publicly, showing that contracts have been awarded which perhaps not in the best interest, let me put it mildly, not in the best interest of the people of Tobago.
So,
now things are made. Well, bring the Auditor General in. I, myself, as a citizen, feel that there has to be proper financial oversight. We've had enough of this issue of wrong contracts being awarded, of contracts being awarded, of documents not being signed, contract agreements not being signed, but people being paid. We hear nothing of oversight of the operation of the contracts and so on, so that taxpayers' money seems to be just frittering away and going down the drain or into somebody else's pocket or bank account. This is taxpayers' money. This is our money. We all pay tax of one kind or other. I reach an age now where I've been exempt from income tax, but I still have to pay VAT.
Yes.
And soon, if Mr. Imbert has his way, I have to pay property tax. So I'm affected. We're all affected. What I would like to see, and let us start with all this that caused this explosion in the first place recently, this issue of this New York trip. What I would like to see, let's take the New York trip, is a thorough and impartial investigation of what happened. The Chief Secretary, as far as I'm concerned, also has questions to answer. He speaks of $400,000 to assist people with airfare. How much does it cost, the round-trip airfare between Scarborough and New York for 27 people? $400,000? I don't think so. So let us have, if it is not $400,000, what happens to the rest of the money? What happened to it? Did, in fact, the THA pay for meals and accommodation for any part of the time that these people spent in New York? Who sent them in the first place? Whom were they representing? Not the THA. The THA didn't choose them. What benefit did their representation bring to Tobago? We have to look at all of these things and we have to come up with a policy. I'm not saying that people shouldn't go to the THA and ask for assistance for this, that, and the other. Yes, they can do that. But on what basis is that assistance to be given, if it is to be given at all?
All right. Viewers, at this point, have no fear. We're leaving it here for this segment with Dr. Reginald Dumas. But stay tuned and remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
I said I can't wait for Tobago in October.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Susolands, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry, don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry, if your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry, if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Viewers, welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. We continue our discussion this morning with Dr. Let's get it correct. Doctor. He says Mr. I go with Dr. Reginald Dumas, who's currently on the program with us. And we keep the focus this morning on, the PDP, what's been happening within the PDP, the rift, and the next move as it relates to the resignation of the Deputy Chief Secretary. Dr. Dumas, just before you took the break there with Julian, we were chatting on the issue here of the, and I'm not even sure, 21, 27, 31, because the figures keep changing in terms of the number of persons who were stranded in Brooklyn, New York, just about 2 weeks or so ago. And, let me ask you here. Could Mr. Duke have handled this particular situation differently? And if so, how?
As far as I'm concerned, yes, of course he could have. He went public and criticized his own DHA, which was amazing to me, publicly. This could have been done privately, and you also have, and that is why in the first segment I said that we need an impartial, thorough investigation of this whole affair. Because the Chief Secretary has also said that he and Mr. Duke had spoken just before Duke went. They had spoken privately, and he had told Mr. Duke certain things, and that he was surprised when Mr. Duke went public. So, I don't know. Then I have heard the story too, that in fact the matter had been settled before Mr. Duke went public. There are too many ifs and ands and buts and maybes and so on all over the place. And that is why I call again for a thorough, impartial investigation of this whole affair, with recommendations coming out of this as to how government funds are to be used to assist any group or individual or whatever it is who is going to represent Tobago. And these people were not going to represent Tobago because no one chose them to do so. They were going up there for Tobago Day or Labor Day or something. I don't know what it was. And what are the benefits to Tobago? Because you have to look at that. If you're going to represent the island, what are the benefits or projected benefits of this representation to the island, so that there is a proper use and can be seen to be a proper use of taxpayers' money?
All right, now let me ask you here. The issue here of Mr. Duke, former head of the PSC, attacking a public servant in the public domain.
That was absolutely scandalous. I have not heard of a politician getting up, a minister or a secretary in the THA and attacking. I recall many years ago, it was in 1975, before you were born.
Just before.
So I have to give you this history.
Yes.
Because Eric Williams at a PNM meeting attacking what he called a small group of ambitious senior civil servants. I'm quoting him. Mm-hmm. Who wanted to take over and impose a technocracy on the country, or just wanting people to sign whatever they put before them. Now, he didn't call any names, and he didn't identify anybody. I mean, we quickly came to realize whom he was referring to. But the point is that he didn't call any names and he didn't identify anybody. Here we have Mr. Duke actually pointing out his own administrator, which is unforgivable.
As being incompetent.
As being incompetent, and he's a waste of time, and this, that, and the other, etc., and there should be an investigation into that as well. And I want to hear what the chairman of the Public Services Association is going to say about all this. Mm-hmm. The one who replaced you.
Right.
Baptiste, I think is his name. I want to hear what he's going to say about this. Because I've never heard of any such thing. How do you, as a politician in charge of a particular division or ministry, publicly attack your own permanent secretary or administrator? That is unforgivable.
With Mr. Duke's resignation, how does the recently appointed recently established division function now? He headed the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, which for the first time became a standalone division within the THA. How do they now move forward?
No, you have Deputy Chief Secretary office before. It's not the first time it's standalone. Joel Jack was the last Deputy Chief Secretary, but he was also Secretary for Finance. What was interesting about this particular appointment of Mr. Duke is that none of the functions assigned to that division can be found in the THA Act.
So this was just established within
Exactly, just
the
established. It was just in the air. He's going to look after the diaspora. Where do you find the diaspora mentioned in the THA Act? He's going to look at certain things in the THA, how the various divisions function or do not function. Where do you find that in the THA Act? They're not there. Mm-hmm. So the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary certainly exists, the title exists, it's there in the THA Act, and you can assign functions to that office. Generally, if those functions are to be found on the 5th schedule of the THA Act, like finance.
All right, but in Mr. Duke's case, he didn't have another portfolio. In Mr. Jack's case, he also headed another division.
Yes, Mr. Jack was Secretary of Finance.
Right.
And when you had, for instance, under the first Chief Secretary, Mr. Hojoy Charles, if I recall rightly, Mr. Cecil Caruth was the Deputy Chief Secretary, and he was also Secretary for Education.
But was that the case with Mr. Duke?
No, because there's nothing in the THA Act that I can find, at any rate, to reflect the various functions that were assigned to Mr. Duke as Deputy Chief Secretary. So, yes, you can appoint another Deputy Chief Secretary, but hopefully on this occasion you will appoint someone and give the person functions that be found in the Act. In other words, that are legal.
Right.
I didn't know about the legality of some of the things around. We have this thing. This whole matter raises a lot of questions. Another question that is raised. Sorry, but you may have a question.
No, you go ahead.
Mr. Duke is quoted as saying, as part of his criticisms of Mr. Augustine, that the Executive Council was not coming to the party, to the whoever runs the party, the executive of the PDP, to find out what the mandates that the party was getting to do things. Now, this is a very worrying statement again, because it suggests the beginning of a one-party state. In a one-party state, it is the party that runs. You have a government, but the party gives instructions to the government. And what Mr. Duke said can be read to mean precisely that the PDP executive, which he heads, would give instructions to the Executive Council, which is the government. Now, if that is what he meant, I'm going to oppose it.
It's worrying.
Publicly. And I'm going to call on others to oppose it, because we're moving, therefore, in the wrong direction. Have you heard of Keith Rowley, who is the Prime Minister and also the political leader of the PNM? Have you heard of the cabinet going to the executive of the PNM and asking for instructions? Have you heard of this?
No.
Good. So why should it happen in Tobago?
We want to get from you this morning, Dr. Dumas, what is the way forward? What should happen next? In fact, Mr. Duke's resignation, what else could it signal? Because there's some who believe that there is more to this resignation than meets the eye. What could this mean for the PDP? Mr. Duke resigning and sitting across on the other side, not sitting with the...
Keeping an eye.
how does this work? And rightly so, you said during your interview with Julian that we're dealing with some firsts. And we've never had to treat with this issue before because we've never been in this position before. So how do we move forward?
Well, we have an interesting situation. Unique. in Trinidad. We've had splits in parties before.
Right.
Okay? Remember when Pandey split away from the NAR, formed the Club 88, which subsequently became the UNC. And he split away from Robinson, etc. So you had their situation too, in which, but they had left the party altogether. Altogether.
Right.
Formed Club 88. Pandey and his people, Humphrey and the others, Ramesh and Trevor Sudama, etc., they left the party, left the NAR, formed Club 88. Here, Duke has not left the PDP. He says he owns it. So you're not leaving something he owns.
No.
Good. So what you're now going to have is two PDPs. This is old mass, you know. Just in time for Tobago Carnival.
Dr. Dumas, I didn't have you down for a comedian. But you're wearing another hat with us this morning.
I'm going to go to see, I don't play mass, but I'm going to go this year to see what happened. Two PDPs. One headed by Watson Duke, the other headed by Fali Augustine. One headed by Watson Duke is keeping an eye on what the one headed by Fali Augustine does. And maybe every now and then Augustine will look across the floor and say, "How are you doing?" It is total old mass.
So we have two oppositions?
Yes, you have two oppositions. You have, what's his name? Not Dennis, the other fellow who is the minority man.
Yeah, Kelvin Morris.
Morris, yes. You have Morris. Whether, of course, Duke is not going to join with the PNM, right. We understand that. But every now and then the two of them, in fact, more than every now and then, maybe quite often, the two of them will agree.
They will agree on opposing.
Yes, that's right. Now, who is going to be sitting with Duke of the existing members?
Can we expect more resignations to follow?
Maybe we could. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, maybe one of the other people there that Fali thinks are with him might be with Duke. So you have, but even if it is Duke alone, he will be there and the others will be over here, both of them belonging to the same party, unless a new party is formed, which is possible as well. And you have the PNM, Mr. Morris, throwing a little thing every now and then to keep the pot boiling, quite rightly, as the official opposition. Yeah. So I don't know what will happen. Duke says that his intelligence tells him that Augustine and his people, his followers, his supporters, have in fact formed a political party already and are only waiting to register it. Whether that is true or not, I don't know.
Okay, let me ask you here, right, so whether it is true or not, but let me ask you in terms of the possibility or the idea of that happening, what would it then mean? How would that work moving forward?
What, if you have a new party?
If there is a new party coming on the scene,
you have a new party, unfortunately.
With members who are already in office?
Yes, Mr. Robinson would be turning in his grave at this moment, because it was precisely the kind of thing that he was trying to avoid,
right,
where Tobago was concerned. It is true that he broke away from the PNM. I don't, I'm not going to deny that. But, you know, time passes and you see things differently.
Right.
And he wanted, towards the end of his life, political life at any rate, he wanted to see a coming together.
Yes.
If you have that, it weakens Tobago. If you have that, you have a negative impact on the issue of internal self-government. Because the people in Trinidad will say, well, who we giving internal self-government to, boy? All they can't get together. There's no meeting of minds in Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
What you want internal self-government for? You can't run yourself. No. You want internal self-government? You want more responsibilities when you are unable to deal with the current responsibilities? So the whole impact is negative. The issue of investment that Duke has raised, issue of trade, if you like, the issue of agriculture, the question of, and talking of agriculture, very important. I mean, exports, say, for cocoa. What relationship will there be, or can there be, between these contending parties
right,
and the national administration? What impact does this have? And here the UNC will be feeling a bit jittery these days, I imagine. What impact does this have on party politics
right,
within Trinidad and Tobago? Because I'm sure that the UNC would have been seeing a link-up with the PDP, if not a formal link-up, but at least an informal one, to get the 2 Tobago seats here, and then try to form the government. But if things are not what the UNC thought they were going to be, what happens then? Mind you, that's for the UNC to work out.
Right.
I don't advise them. I don't advise any politician. So there are a number of scenarios
right,
down the road. We do not know at this particular moment. As I said, we first have to decide, and as far as I'm concerned, to whom Mr. Duke has in fact resigned, and whether the resignation letter submitted to Mr.
Augustine.
Farley Chavez Augustine on the 15th of September is valid or not. Since it was not the Chief Secretary
who appointed
him in the first place. Is it that the matter has to go to the Assembly? Because I looked at the THA Act, which is unclear. They also say that if there's a motion of no confidence, which goes against the person, that the person must resign. But it doesn't say resign to whom.
Right. Should he have then submitted individual letters to the
Well,
members?
I really don't know, because
we've never been there before.
We've never been here. I think we need legal advice here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But Dr. Dumas, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program. And you know, this issue continues. I see people on the live asking, when are we going to get over this? When are we going to resolve this matter? And how? And I think that is one of the major questions out there. How do we move forward? What is the next step? According to you, Dr. Dumas, we probably need to seek some legal advice, because according to you, there's no allowance made within the THA Act for such such a situation, because we did not foresee this, just as we did not foresee that 6-6.
No,
exactly. We did not.
Exactly. my good friend Easter Mackenzie did foresee the 660. If you look at the Hansard of the time, you will see that she raised the question
of the possibility
of a tie. She did raise it formally.
Wisdom speaks.
And the then Attorney General Ramesh said, in other words, that can't happen, man. So what couldn't happen, in fact, happened.
We should be definitely
I don't know what will happen. I would imagine that secretaries and administrators are now feeling a bit
uneasy.
I would want to suggest maybe we'll put in a plug for the Tobago's Council of Elders, although I'm not here representing them, but they may wish to get in touch with the Tobago Council, and after council maybe could sit with them to exchange ideas and views and make suggestions as to how to move forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Dumas, for being on the program with us. Again, always a pleasure having you on set and being able to chat with you on the matters pertaining to Tobago. Viewers, we're going to leave it there for this time. We've got lots more coming up on the program, so share the live, share the live, share the live.
You're never gonna get my love, accepting that you're real precious. You're never gonna cramp my style.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. Yes, the thing heating up in Tobago, the thing getting serious. Rhea, Richardson, George.
It's waxing even warmer than it was earlier in the week. The way we started the week is certainly not how we're ending it. And we continue to see how things unravel to get the answers. Because at the end of the day, Julian, how do we move forward? That is the big question. How do we move forward? We're at a position, as Dr. Dumas indicated, that we've never been in before. Probably didn't even see this coming. Although some people said this was going to happen from the get-go. There's some who believe that this was in the mortar, along with the epistle, from the get-go. So, like I said, we'll see how things go.
And we certainly look forward to the updates and clarity because it's important for us to get the, as you rightfully said, the way forward. The information and understanding is that, you know, they go to the House next week. And important that will be the House accepting the resignation, because we ought to remember that just as was said by Dr. Dumas, the House would have elected the Chief Secretary and the Deputy Chief Secretary, and then the President, in terms of conveying the necessary instruments of appointments and so on to the relevant officers. So in the same manner, you go back to the House to accept the resignation, and then the House proceeds in terms of the election of a new Deputy Chief Secretary, which is very likely to be someone who already holds the office of a secretary portfolio. So the question is whether or not we will still maintain the separation of the established office of the Deputy Chief Secretary as a standalone, or would we see it coming back, you know, as a collaborative kind of responsibility, as we saw in the times of Joel Jack, Tracy Davidson Celestine when she was deputy, Cynthia Alfred when she was deputy, and also just referred to as well Mr. Karut when he also served as deputy simultaneously. All of them having served as deputies held a position as a secretary, and therefore there wasn't necessarily a full separate operation for the office of the deputy chief. So all those things, folks, we get some clarity on come next week, Ria. That's if we don't have any further developments happening over the course of the weekend.
You never know. Living in Tobago in these times, expect anything.
Definitely. And we're also looking forward to hearing from our very own Chief Secretary, the Honorable Fali Chavez Augustine. We're looking forward to hearing from him, to getting our perspective. And, you know, we will be following up with Chief Secretary Fali Augustine here from Tobago Updates to get a perspective in terms of what's the way forward for Tobago in the first instance. And then we can speak to our party, because he has always given his commitment, that his commitment first and foremost is to Tobago and then to party. So we look forward even to those kinds of updates also are coming in by next week.
Definitely. I mean, he's given interviews to the eye, but we wanted here on updates. All right? We wanted here on Tobago Updates. So we're getting ready to leave. We just want to send out some birthday greetings very quickly to Natalie Panton Winchester. Yeah, I'm questioning that surname, but Natalie Panton Winchester is what I got. So Natalie, love going out to you. Happy birthday. Enjoy your day. And we head over to GMT with Candace coming up as she chats with Dr. Shane Mohammed. I tell you, no stranger to Tobago Updates. I think by now he has his Tobago Updates party card. All right?
Party is an interesting word to
yes,
use. But since we're talking party and we're heading on into October Carnival, remember this morning my wardrobe is courtesy Rashad's Men's Store. And you can check them out down there at Mount Pleasant. Get your outfits and your lineup for the October Carnival and any event, no matter the type of event. It's 631-1049. That's 631-1049. Remember to connect with Rashad's Men's Store located in Mount Pleasant. Bye for now, folks.
All right. Have a great day, Tobago. Stay safe, and we will see you on Monday, God's willing. And remember, we head over to GMT with Candace.
Live, the concert.
Says our destiny.
Friday, 23rd September.
The night before Republic Day.
She says our destiny. She get next to me.
At the concert capital, the Queen's Park Savannah.
Live, the concert. Mavado and his full band.
You're moving your ways.
Entertainment. Yes, we're bringing it to you. Tobago Updates. It's all about the new entertainment show, the VIP Experience, hosted by your boy Snoopy. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 p.m. and on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. We're bringing to you the best Tobago has to offer. We're showcasing interviews, music, and everything that is fun. So join me on Tobago Updates for the VIP Experience. Yeah, man.
Watch how you're backing back on me. Like about to overload. Watch them sexy Bago woman. Beauty from head to toe in the sun. You two don't need no lotion. Yeah. Hey.
Tobago Updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Assemblyman for Rospo Argyle Watson Duke called on Chief Secretary Fali Augustine to answer questions on the awarding of million-dollar contracts over the past 9 months. Duke made accusations during a press conference where he announced to the nation that he resigned as Deputy Chief Secretary in the THA. According to Duke, Augustine acted as a dictator on the Executive Council who failed to deliver on campaign promises. However, Duke stated that he would not challenge Augustine in the Assembly legislature and described him as a child, but will instead pursue his political ambitions in Trinidad through the PDP party which he established. The Tobago branch of the TNT Chamber of Industry and Commerce expressed concerns over the split between Chief Secretary Farley Augustine and Deputy Chief Secretary Watson Duke. In a statement, Chairman Hadayan Haddad described the situation as bad for Tobago's economic development. She said that in the past 9 months, the PDP administration did not deliver on their election promises, with little or no changes to the island's economy. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Tobago Business Chamber, Martin George, said there appears to be no hope for Augustine and Duke amending their relationship, leaving the THA with a leadership crisis that undermines Tobago's development. And now nationally, certificates of character from the public service are not available at this time. According to a release from the police, a system malfunction is preventing applicants from being facilitated. The police said the system experienced technical difficulties over the past several months, causing delays. They, however, assured the public that work is ongoing to repair the system as soon as possible. But when it is restored, the police warned applicants of backlogs in the issuance of certificates of character, causing further delays until it is cleared. And that was the news in 90 seconds. And of course, you know, we're exploding right now with just all the happenings between Mr. Watson Duke and Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. Of course, I mean, by now you would have been able, if you haven't, well, you've been living on a rock, but by now you would have been able to hear quite a bit of what Mr. Duke said yesterday in regards to Chief Secretary Farley and his leadership, in regards to Mr. Duke, you know, in essence, taking back the party, you know, saying he owns the party, and, you know, he's going ahead with campaigning in Trinidad and building out in Trinidad. And to what's supposed to happen to Tobago, we don't know. We're hearing that, you know, some in Tobago, Farley and friends, as he called it, you know, they're perhaps forming a new party. There's a whole lot of questions in the atmosphere. And, you know, we're certainly waiting to hear some of those questions. But in the meantime, we're going to get some more perspectives on what's been happening within our space. And, of course, been joined by none other than Dr. Shane Mohammed, who by now is certainly a part of the Tobago Updates family. A special good morning and welcome to you, Dr. Shane. You need to be here in Tobago where all the bacchanal is happening.
I know. Good morning. It's just that there's so much on my schedule that's going on that I need to come to Tobago when I have actual free days, and the only free days I have for the week is on a Thursday and a Friday. But Candace, you know, I keep hearing, and I heard it from Mr. Dumas as well, that you all are in a crisis, right? That Tobago is in a crisis. And it is really vexatious for me to hear that because somebody resigned from a position, right? And he went on to say that, you know, we've never been here before and we need legal advice. And but Julian, before he came off the station, before he came off from his show, he went on to say exactly what is going to happen in terms of the continuity of the administration, right?
Yes.
You all are not in to say that Tobago is in a crisis is doing yourselves as a people a great injustice. You all are not in crisis. Do you have a chief secretary in office? Yes. Was that chief secretary that is in office responsible for the winning of the THA elections? The answer is yes. Did people vote for the PDP as a result of the leadership of Mr. Farley Augustine? The answer is yes, right? And yesterday, I believe when we spoke, I said that, Mr. Duke had his opportunity to prove to Tobagonians at the ultimate level, which is at the parliamentary level, that he's capable of winning Tobago East. And Tobago East is a seat that can be easily won if and wrestled from the opposition, from the government, from the PNM, if the conversation with the Tobago East constituents are one that they can embrace, one that it shows development, one that is grassroots, one that is it touch and concerns all of their issues on a daily basis. It gives a sense of progress and development to their livelihood and all of that. And he was unable to do that. It is not like Watson lost Tobago East by like how Kelvin Morris won that
Darrell Spring
Garden by. Yeah, it is not like that. He got a sweeping cocktail in Tobago East, right? It was not that it was enough for us to go for a recount to see that, well, he almost make it. No. And why was that? I said it then, I will say it now. The reason for that is because Watson Duke has absolutely no cover for his mouth. Yeah, you need to know what to say, when to say, and how to say it. It is important in the political communication in the greater scheme of things when you want to captivate the minds and the favor of, and find yourself in the favor of the people, right? That's what that's something I want to make very clear. Julian Skeet said that next week the House will be convened, the Assembly will be convened, the motion will be put towards to the presiding officer that the Deputy Chief Secretary has resigned. I am sure by now that a correspondence will be put forward to Her Excellency the President, and the House will go ahead with the election of a new Deputy Chief Secretary, and the business of the House continues. Oh my God, what crisis are you all in, Candice? One man is not an entire institution. The narrators in Tobago are making it out as though that because this one seat is gone, or the one seat is gone, the entire administration has lost its credibility and the entire administration has collapsed. This is not a 6-6 situation. This is now 13-2.
Well, with Dr. Shane, moving on from that point, though, I just want to get into some of the things that was said yesterday about from Mr. Duke regarding Mr. Augustine's leadership, and some of the things that he pointed out is that Mr. Augustine was not following through on campaign promises. Now, as someone who paid very, very close attention to the THA elections and even the previous THA elections, I mean, what is your opinion on this? Do you think that Augustine has been failing Tobago on keeping those election promises that they made?
What election promises did the PDP make and Fadi make that is not being followed through? Which particular one did he itemize it?
Well,
he did not itemize it.
Well, he was specifically referring to, he brought up employment as well as the awarding of contracts, because one of the things that the PDP campaign on is ensuring that smaller businesses in Tobago can get contracts, even in the whole scheme of awarding those major contracts. And there's a lot of them that are still going out to Trinidadian businesses, as opposed to remaining, or at least part remaining in Tobago. There were things like that Mr. Duke brought up yesterday as to sort of justify his position as to why Mr. Augustine has not been providing that sort of leadership that he believes that Tobago needs.
Candace, the chief secretary he came in one of his prior speeches. He came I believe it would have been in his post council executive meetings, right, when he was speaking to the media, and he made it very clear that the administration came into the office. This current administration came into office in the middle of a financial year, right? They came in December, and a budget would have already been read, and a budget would have already been allocated to Tobago, right? It is clear that the THA under the current THA administration has to work and function under the current financial arrangements between the central government and the THA that was set before this administration came into power, right? What does that say? You want employment and you want contracts. Those are the two things that he talked about. You want the chief secretary and the secretary for infrastructure and the whoever else has contractors in their administration. You want them to dismiss contractors in the middle of them doing projects and doing jobs, to be able to facilitate small contractors in Tobago. You know what that is equal to? Court. That is equal to the contractors taking the THA to court, and for and for breach of contract. One, for breach of contract, for you know, that's the main problem there with regard to contracts, right? The next thing is employment. You need to have a budget that allows for a larger amount of recurrent expenditure to be able to employ more people within the THA. But in addition to that, I have to hold back my words, he's a hypocrite, right? He's a hypocrite because one of the things that they also campaigned on was to be a non-centric administration where the THA was going to be the sole employer for the young Tobagonians, because that only saturated the system and that made it into nothing but for the lack of a better word, another party group. And they wanted to move away from that. They wanted to diversify. They wanted to partner with the private sector. They wanted to create they wanted to create a system of partnership between the administration and the private sector and bringing foreign investors to generate employment.
And is it
None of those things, Candice, can be done effectively and efficiently until the budget is read in 2 weeks' time and the assembly knows what it has in front of it. What is the cash it's going to have in hand in order to do what he's doing. So he is
in essence,
using...
he is premature in his allegations?
Not premature. Hypocritical and misrepresenting the interest of the people, because he has now fallen out with the THA chief secretary, right? And it's a situation where if I can't get my way, if it's not my way, it is the highway. I said yesterday, take your Jahaji bundle and go and free the people of Tobago from this quote unquote debacle that now I am hearing, oh, we're in a crisis. You all are not in a crisis. Tobago is not in a crisis. The people of Tobago cannot be misled by statements of that kind, because there is a chief secretary in office and there's a deputy chief secretary to be appointed. and to be elected and appointed by Her Excellency the President. And there is a process and a procedure for that. There is no way in which the Assembly is in crisis that it's going to collapse tomorrow morning.
And what about some of the allegations coming from Duke that, Mr. Augustine is leading in a dictatorship style? Do you see any signs of that? Is that unfounded?
If he's a dictator, to start with, he is not coming to the people to talk and to give information. That's one. He's not giving interviews. He's not going to be on the ground. He is not going to be observing the Sabbath. He is not going to be in on the ground in church services and whatnot and maintaining his normal lifestyle on a Sunday, right? What nonsense, again, misrepresenting the chief secretary, because he has to become, you know what he has turned himself back into? He talk about, oh, he take on Raul Manning, he take on Kamala, he take on Rowley in the capacity of a trade unionist, one that, and he, a trade union that he no longer leads. So he has put back on the jacket of trade unionism, right? And he's going to use trade unionism tactics to discredit or attempt to discredit the chief secretary and talk about things that people need to understand the context before you take what Watson has to say hook, line, and sinker, because he's disingenuous, dishonest, and what he's saying is misleading to the people of Tobago.
And moving ahead, so, of course, this is the question that's on everybody's mind. Julian said it before, and Ria as well. How are we to move forward now? Is it, again, we're hearing those rumors, well, at least Mr. Duke may have said it, that there seems to be a new party forming, and, what should be the actual course of action? Should the 13 that are there right now just to remain as independent, or should they try to form another party and go forward with the island's business?
There's no need to form any new party, and if they choose to form a new party, that is their prerogative. But within the THA, currently, a political party exists, and they just simply need to come to an agreement, and within the 13 of themselves, come to an agreement with regard to the leadership of that political party, because Terence Baines agreed as in the principle of coming together as one organization. He did not renounce his leadership of the Tobago Forwards. He just accepted these. He decided to come under the umbrella of the PDP. Is the same way under the partnership certain persons decided to come under the umbrella of the United National Congress in order to fight the election, right? So they can do as they please in terms of form a new political party, or they could go down the route of utilizing the Tobago Forwards, which already exists.
And we have the budget coming up in just over a week's time. It's a week and a half, thereabouts. How will this affect? Do you think that this situation will affect what the Assembly is able to get from the national budget going forward?
No, well, the concern would have been the effective management of public funds, and whether the chief secretary had it in him to be able to be a good administrator and a good manager of public funds. And by the very fact that he came out and he made it very clear as to what the situation was and what he did and how he approached the entire scenario, right? It gives credibility to his ability to and his commitment to maintain that integrity in public office when it comes to public funds. He also said that he had had a discussion with the Honorable Minister of Finance regarding what they needed in Tobago in order to move forward. And I think that would have been a very healthy meeting. I am very happy that there was that meeting even in the middle of this quote-unquote crisis. But I think everybody who um, is aware of the characteristics and the character in terms of the personality of the former Deputy Chief Secretary, has bred a sigh of relief to say, oh, at least we don't have to worry about that person being in the office, because he was the one that people were most concerned about with regard to the expenditure of public funds, not Fali Augustine.
At this point in time, there are many in Tobago that are just disappointed and disheartened by the whole situation because, you know, many were looking forward to the PDP just bringing that air of change and that air of hope and a better style of governance in Tobago. Now, as a result of this situation, what message do you want Tobagonians to have in all of this? I mean, how should they feel? You know, should they remain discouraged or should they have hope?
Listen, Candice, my friends, my people, you know, you know how I feel. I have made it very clear how I feel about the Tobagonian folk, and you know, I have even said that if I was given the opportunity to serve in Tobago, I will wholeheartedly do it because I have been very well received and treated by the people of Tobago. And I understand their plight for good governance. And I understand in the years that I have studied the practicality of the Tobagonian politics and been a part of the social fabric of Tobago, right? You know, I don't just simply come to Tobago and with my nose up in the air. I love to walk around. Even when I came for budget last year, you all know I disappeared from the studio and was walking around in the Port Mall and that
Yes,
kind of
you
thing,
were.
right? And it is all and I love to take off the jacket and be among the people. So I want to say this to my Tobagonian folk: do not despair, and do not be discouraged. When you all voted in the THA elections, you all gave Farley Augustine a mandate. You all did not give it was not about the PDP. The PDP was the vehicle, but you all gave the leadership of Farley Augustine and the persons that he chose collectively as part of the team a mandate to push forward and um, to bring about the much needed change in governance and the much needed progress and development in from a socio-economic perspective. And that does not change. I mean, 1 from 13 is not 0. 1 from 14, sorry, is not 0, right? This is not the government, your administration in Tobago has not collapsed, and it remains very connected, very strong, and it remains very much operational. You are going to get the same amount of services. I want you to know that when you look at the 2020 general elections, you, the Tobagonian people, must be able, and especially those from Tobago East, you all will know why it is you all did not go down the road of choosing, electing Mr. Duke as the representative and member of parliament for Tobago East, and stuck with the status quo of Miss Ayanna Webster Roy. Again, I'm going to reiterate this: there is no crisis. The administration remains. The expectations of resilience and hope sustains, right? The chief secretary is in office, and all that is going to change is that there's going to be a new deputy chief secretary, and I believe that the new deputy chief secretary is one that is going to be and the role of the chief secretary is really to support the chief secretary in the management of the administration, in the execution of the mandate and manifesto promises. And I believe that the person that he chooses and the person that is selected and elected, proposed and elected, is going to be one of your own, and it's going to be one that you can identify with. There is and I can say this, I have interviewed the Secretary for Tourism, and the framework that she has for tourism is not a today fix. It is a long-term fix. It is one that is going to, it's a holistic perspective that is going to build Tobago's tourism sector and give it a structure and a framework for prosperity and development. That is, I give you that assurance because I have spoken to her. I have spoken to the Secretary for Infrastructure and Urban Development and Quarries, if I'm not mistaken, with the title. But even Mr. Trevor James has a vision with regard to what he wants for a renewed and a rejuvenated Scarborough and what it is going to look like, and not only Scarborough, but other main town centers within Tobago like Roxborough and Plymouth and environs. So there's going to be development, but these things have to go through the process of
And it
consultation.
has to take some time.
Because it's not going to be, all of this is going to be done within the long-term process. And additionally, the Secretary for Health is making sure that the Roxborough Hospital is furnished with the expertise of specialist doctors so that at the end of the day, the work of the administration continues and continues in your interest, Tobago.
Okay, Dr. Mohammed, thank you so much for being with us and giving us your perspectives on the situation here in Tobago. All right, viewers, we have a lot more coming up on the program, but we have to go off for a quick break and we'll be right back, so don't go anywhere.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
The Street 919 FM and the Tobago Updates presents the Tobago Updates Morning Show live simulcast on the Street 919 FM. Start your day with all the information you want and need with the simulcast of the Tobago Updates Morning Show live Mondays to Fridays from 7 a.m. on the Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
Advertise with Tobago Updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. And now we are getting into some lighter conversations because we've had a very, very heavy morning. So we're going to talk about something to feed your soul and uplift your spirits a little bit. And that's none other than a special Real Gospel Explosion that's coming up. And that's going to be facilitated by the Tobago mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And on set with me is, of course, one of our friends, Pastor Richard Frederick. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning to you, Candice, and good morning to our viewers all across the world.
And of course, we have none other than evangelist Mr. Russell James.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Great. So wonderful to have you men here this morning and to talk about the Real Gospel Explosion. So I think I want to start with you, Pastor Frederick. A little bit on what is this Real Gospel Explosion all about? And then we will bring in Evangelist James.
All right. So Evangelist James will give you more details, but I know that one of the letters that he has, it's an acronym, and one of the letters stands for relevant. And we want the community to know all across the world that what we are doing is indeed relevant. And the relevance is seen in this particular regard. I am a father and a husband. I belong to a household, and I would have to worry about the bills. I would have to worry about food, shelter, etc. My children don't have to worry about such. Just as it is in my home, and my home is like a microcosm, our homes are like a microcosm of what is happening in society. Those that are at the higher level, they worry about, feeding populations, about the security of the world, about the existence of man. And so they have come up with what is known as the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Goals. And that is, we're going towards a green economy. And that's the kingdom of man seeking his way to ensure that all is well with man. That's man's plan. But
and
then,
being stewards towards the earth as well.
Oh, yes, exactly so. But now we have as well God's plan, right? The greenest economy that we are aware of is the Garden of Eden. And it is real. It is not fake. It is not fable. It is real. And God is carrying us back to this green economy. God is carrying us back to Eden. And we want individuals to know that God's plan will not fail. Man's plan would have its challenges and it will eventually fail. But God's green economy will never fail. And we want individuals to become aware of this green economy that God has in store for every single human being in this world. And we want the individuals to know it is not fable. It is real, and you must prepare for it.
So, Evangelist James, we have this Real Gospel Explosion coming out, and Pastor Frederick explained that it's an acronym. REAL is an acronym, and R means relevant.
Right. Yes.
So, tell me a little bit about the rest of the acronym. What does E, A, and L?
Well, first off, let me just say that it is a pleasure to be in Tobago. I love your space. I believe that Tobago is one of the most beautiful islands in the Caribbean.
Certainly.
Don't quote me on that. And it is actually the beauty of Trinidad and Tobago in my mind. So big up to Tobago. The acronym really stands for relevant, enlightening, and life-changing. We live in an environment where a lot of people, as Pastor would have alluded to, a lot of persons are searching for what is real. They're searching for fulfillment in life. And for me, when I sat down and I was thinking about, what am I going to name this gospel explosion? I wanted to present God as the God who is in touch with the feelings of our infirmities, as the Bible says, as a God who is not an absentee landlord. He didn't just create us and leave us to ourselves, but he's actively involved in everything that goes on with us. And so I wanted to present God in the realest way that I could. And to me, the realest way I could present God is a God who is relevant, a God who wants to enlighten us. And by enlightening us, he wants to change our lives for the better.
And in light of everything that's happening right now, especially with our political struggles and whatnot, you know, how can this conference help those of us who are just a little bit confused as to what's happening out there?
Well, based on what the Bible teaches, we know that these things will come to pass. We know that friends will fall out, if you please. We know that there will be problems in governance, there will be problems all over. But we know for certainty that God will not leave his children alone, that he will be with us through this struggle. And so even as Tobago goes through this minor little issue, well, most may say a big issue, but to me a minor little issue, I believe that God will still work his way in Tobago, because he says that all things work together for good to them that love him.
And then what about, in terms of how things are right now with the state of the economy? And you mentioned, you are a father that and you have a husband, and you have to provide for your family to make sure they don't have anything to worry about. However, we know that that's not the case for a lot of the families here in Tobago. There is a lot of suffering that's happening, a lot of struggles that's happening. People are worrying about how they're making the ends meet, and they're wondering when will there be an end to these problems. How can these people be encouraged?
Oh yes, they can become encouraged by finding out that there is an all-powerful being who never fails, who will not fail them, who is able to provide all of their needs according to his riches in glory. We are also brought to hope, life-changing hope, due to the fact that in the political space, what is being done is to guarantee a brighter future. Our politicians said that they want to make Tobago the best little island there is. God has that plan long before the politicians had such a plan. And while the politicians' plan will undergo its challenges, and I must say, unfortunately, as good as it is, it will eventually fail. That's the truth. And I'm here to speak truth. In the end, it will eventually fail. The 2030 sustainable goals, that will eventually fail. They have some goodness in the plans, but it will eventually fail. And so we are worried, or we spend a lot of time thinking about those plans and putting them into action that will eventually fail. But God is saying, I have a plan that will not fail, that will bring an end to crime. The politicians promise such. That will ensure that food is in every mouth. The politicians promise such. But God is going to do it. That is going to take away sicknesses and diseases. And we want individuals to become aware of God's ultimate and everlasting and never failing plan and become part of it. Because when we become part of it now, when the plan is finally realized, then we all will be able to enjoy that plan. And I'm saying it again, the plan is real. Individuals begin to think that it is fables, it is Nancy's story, it isn't real, but we are much closer now in 2022 to the realization of such a plan than we were in 2020 or in the year 2000. And so Evangelist Russell James is going to help individuals to become part of that ultimate plan.
And it's not only just about becoming part of that plan, but it's also about, realizing that there is a higher power there, and he can be accessed, and, he is real.
Yes. Yes.
And I just want you to expand on that a little bit more.
We, like Pastor would have just said, we live in a world where a lot of persons question even the existence of God. Is he really real? Does he really care about me? I am struggling. And we have this phrase now that we live in a real world with real people who have real issues. And that's the facts. I myself am not immune from issues. I have my own personal struggles and issues that I face from a day to day. But what I do know for a fact is that God is real, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me that I am his own. And because I have that relationship with him, I am able to view things in a different perspective. And that's what I want to really push in the village of Plymouth, that God gives you a new perspective on life. He allows you to understand that, listen, the troubles will not last forever. As the Bible says, weeping may endure for the night, but joy will come in the morning. And the joy begins by accepting God as your Lord and your personal Savior and King.
And as we're getting ready to wrap up our conversation, can you just give us an idea of when, where this real conference, this real gospel explosion is going to be taking place?
Okay, yes, well, the real gospel explosion begins tomorrow. Yes, we actually carried to be in the tent from Sunday, but it begins tomorrow. We will be in Plymouth. We will be having an open air concert. We will be having good singers, lively music, powerful messages, and we want the community of Plymouth to meet us right opposite the ABM, FCB ABM in Plymouth. And that is where we will be having this gospel explosion. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be life-changing. It's going to be wow. And it continues on Sunday night, Sunday, September 18, beginning from 7 p.m., continuing nightly, with the exception being Thursday nights. Thursday nights will be rest night. We go for 2 weeks, and so we're there Sunday to Wednesday, then on Friday, and on Saturday we are there from 9 a.m. and we're looking forward to you and your families. Yes, your relatives, your friends, your loved ones joining with us for the real gospel explosion right at Plymouth opposite FCB ABM.
I couldn't have said it better, Pastor Frederick. All right, folks, so we're going to thank you so much for being with us, Pastor Frederick and Evangelist James. It was a pleasure speaking with you all this morning. And viewers, you know, if you feel led, join them from tomorrow night. All right, viewers, so we have a lot more coming up for you on the program, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be back right after this short break.
Live, the concert.
Says their destiny.
Friday, 23rd September.
The night before.
Live, the concert.
Says their destiny.
Friday, 23rd September.
The night before Republic Day.
She says their destiny. She get next to me.
At the concert capital, the Queen's Park, Savannah.
Circle around with me, lady. You know, to say you are driving me crazy.
Guinness welcomes Mavado and his full band with rising superstar Ken. Live, the concert. Powered by Guinness and Strictly FX.
If you see or know about a crime, report a crime safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. You can play your part safely and anonymously. Report a crime. Earn a reward. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. Be a hero, champion, fearless citizen. Be a crime stopper safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Our national borders, our first step to security, but a possible access point for guns, drugs, crime. If it does not look right, do the right thing. Call Crime Stoppers anonymously. 800-8477. Report possible border crime.
There's a taste in the air everywhere. Feel the vibe, cause it's something to share. Smooth, rich and creamy, you'll find it right here. Makes you smile, relax a while, it's fun and good cheer. Ooh. This is Uncle Pete's. Yeah. Hey.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. And now we're moving on with our conversation this morning, and we are being joined by two beautiful ladies from the to talk about the plus-sized woman football match. And on set with us we have Miss Avril Allen and Miss Shelley-Ann Lewis.
Hi, morning everybody.
All right, welcome to the program this morning. Now, I guess I could get started with you, Miss Allen, and to tell us a little bit about this plus-size football match and what is it all about?
All right, the name of the group as we start is Tunapity. It's a plus-size group that myself and my sister formed to foster a togetherness for plus-size women in Tobago. Because we're looking and we realize that most of the stuff that they're putting out there are for slimmers, if you want to call it that way. So we decided, look, let's come up with a group that we could pull these plus-size women in Tobago, have fun, do stuff, play sports. So we came up with this idea of having a plus-size football event in Tobago here. It's on Sunday, 3 p.m. Shore Park.
And for people who want to be a part of it, how can they be involved?
Okay, being involved in the sense of playing on the game or coming to the event?
Playing on the game.
Okay, we placed a ad on social media asking persons if you're interested in coming to play in this event. Just message us, WhatsApp us, inbox us, let's know if you're interested. And the response was so overwhelming that we even had this size coming on the field trying to play football with these plus-size women. So the response was really, really overwhelming.
I mean, and tell me, so like for viewers who are watching and they're like, plus-size football, I want to come on Sunday and see what it's all about. Yeah. You know, what can they expect?
Well, plus-size women can do all things, just as the slimmers.
Yes.
Of course, it's going to be a great time. Actually, it's going to be more overwhelming than the slimmers. We are proud of our size and, you know, we are fit and ready for it. It's a fun thing. It's not a battle, and we are out there, you know, to have fun as a family.
Yes.
Actually, it's the first plus-size group that I feel the love and everybody feel the love. Arlene and Avril did something really great for us because some of us feel we're too big to go on the field and people, and we have a lot of that breaking down and everybody is normal. So come on Sunday, fully loaded with the family, supporting the colors, you know. We are green, not really biased, but we are green, so we are coming out in our green with a lot of surprises. There's blue, there's burgundy, and that's it?
Orange.
And orange. But it's a love, even though it's 4 different colors, we are all one love in this.
And tell me a little bit about the group itself and just being able to have a space where, you know, women can just come and just be with each other.
Okay, it all started from us planning a Juve event. We decided, look, let's have a Juve band for plus-size women. We're going to have you covered, but still sexy. The response to that as well was also overwhelming. We took some photos, we placed it on social media. Again, people took it and they ran with it. Our next event was Tobago Jam. And the crowd response to Tobago Jam was
overwhelming.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yes.
It was through the roof. So with this plus-size football and gathering the females together, we form a chat. And trust me, these ladies are like family now. There are other events coming up for these ladies. It's a love, and Tobago, look out. These plus-size women are coming. They're coming out.
And as you can see, we are joined by a third person in the form of Sadisha Thomas.
Yes.
And she is one of the footballers.
Yes, she is.
And I want you, Ms. Sadisha, to just tell me a little bit about what this group, being a part of this group and even being a part of the football and so on, what has that done for you as a woman?
Firstly, it has built my confidence. I never played football before, but being with this group, I build my confidence and everything, and I feel like Cristiano Ronaldo already for Sunday.
Yeah.
You understand? And I repping the orange team.
Yeah.
Orange team. We're coming out this Sunday to give them what we know about.
Good.
And why is it so important for plus size women to have something like this for themselves?
Confidence. People think because you are plus size that you're not good enough.
Yeah.
This is to build your confidence. You are what you are, and you are still the best at whatever you do. So this is just to build the moral and the confidence of the plus size woman in Tobago.
And so, you know, for the viewers now that are watching, and especially those women that might be sitting at home and they're like, they didn't know that this existed and they want to be a part of it, how can they be a part of it?
Okay, if you check my Facebook page, it's Avril Allen. My number is also situated on that page. It's 479-1638. Call me up, or 309-3132, and join the group. It's that simple. No fees added to join the group. It's a love.
And Michelle, I just want you to, you know, just tell the viewers a little bit about that support that you guys have for each other, and you know what that does for you as just a person.
Well, I've been in the football arena for many years, trained by one of the best in Tobago, Mr. Terry Williams under Phoenix, so I am probably most experienced than the two ladies, but we all feel as one because it's a love, you know. It's not like I am better than anybody, or it's one across the board. And you know, we are about to go out there on Sunday evening. Everybody do all their chores and they come down. It's only $50 for adults, $20 for children, and we have a fun day.
And where is it taking place?
Shaw Park Grounds.
Shaw Park Grounds.
Yes.
All right, viewers, so we have something very exciting on Sunday, you know. I mean, it's going to be fun, and it's it's all about, and of course, the proceeds are going towards supporting the group as well.
Yeah.
And we know that, I mean, mental health is a major thing within our society, and we always need to find ways in which to deal with and to gain that confidence and to help each other out. Because this is what you ladies all are about, helping each other out. And it's such a wonderful thing to see within our space, because we need more of that. So come out, support, and, you know, just have a fun time.
The green, if you want to come out and support the green t-shirt, green bandana, green rag, just green.
And orange also. Don't forget orange team all the way.
But it's a love with the blue and burgundy too.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, I don't think I see the other teams being represented.
No.
But, you know, it's, again, this is a wonderful thing to see. And so viewers, come out and support, you know, have some fun. And, yeah, just be with each other in love. All right, viewers, thank you so much for being on with us this morning. It's wonderful to have your support as usual. And we're going into the weekend, so be safe out there in everything that you do. And we'll see you again on Monday. So that's it from me, Candace Jackson, on Good Morning Tobago for Tobago Updates. And we'll see you then.
Wake up with Candace and Denise.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning.